Hi guys, welcome to Money Talks, and today we're going to be discussing the pay discrepancy between the men at AFCON and the women at AFCON. Of course, this is a tenuous debate in the world of football, about how men get paid more than women, and we are bringing it to you here on Money Talks. Of course, I'm Jimmy and Ayoola, and as usual, I have with us today our analyst, Ayoola.
Hi, Jimmy.
Yeah, I know you're going to expect me to ask you for something again, but I'm not going to. You people have been broke shaming me.
Thank God, Beggy has ended.
I'm not going to ask you again, maybe on the next episode. But yeah, let's get into the meat of it. Can you give us a breakdown of what the women are getting paid and how it compares to what the men are getting paid at AFCON?
So at the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, the WAFCON as it's called, the winners are expected to get about $600,000 US dollars, while the second place team will receive $400,000 and the third place team will receive $350,000.
That's still a lot of money.
I mean, if you are a journalist working in Nigeria, of course, it's a lot of money.
Wow.
But when you compare it to...
You're shaded. Yourself, this is like dropping a grenade on yourself because you're also a journalist working in Nigeria.
That's why it's called suicide bombing.
Oh, wow.
So, anyways, but when you compare it to what the men receive in their competition, in also the Africa Cup of Nations, also organized by CAF, you will find out that it's a paltry sum, if we're being honest. Because think about this: if you qualify for the AFCON, the men's AFCON, and you lose every match and finish last in your group,
I'm not sure like
you get $500,000 for finishing last in the group.
Right.
And that's
the people that hold up. The people that win women's AFCON get $600,000. Yes. But the perpetual losers of the men's AFCON get $500,000.
So it's just a $100,000 difference between the best in the women and the worst in the men. And then when you move higher up the rank, you see that the winners of the AFCON, the men's AFCON, at least in the 2023 edition, that was Cote d'Ivoire, they received $7 million for winning the competition. And the runners-up Nigeria received $4 million. So it's more than times 10.
I think I can see why the women are angry.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's more than times 10 of what the women receive.
I see why they are angry. But why, I mean, of course, we know most of the reasons that they give for why there's this pay discrepancy, but does it really justify it?
At the end of the day, I think it does, at least at the moment. Because when you think about it, the last AFCON, the men's AFCON, prided themselves on reaching 2.2 billion people.
Yeah, we saw the stats.
We saw the stats and everything. And it would be a minor miracle if the women get anywhere close to that. And the men made a profit of $75 million from the AFCON. That's not just revenue. I mean, after deducting expenses and everything, according to the CAF president, the money that was realized as profit was $75 million. And again, it would be almost impossible at this point for the women to generate that much, maybe even in revenue, talk less of profit. So even though it doesn't look nice on paper, the reality of the real world is that they can't at the moment match up to the amount of money that the men make.
Oh, that's quite sad. Okay, now you mentioned that at the moment, do you think that there is a foreseeable future where the women can at least close this gap? Even if they cannot reach it, maybe they can at least close that gap.
Well, I think definitely they should be able to close the gap. Maybe not to the extent that most people think, but definitely they should reach a point where they're not earning 10 times less than the men. At the end of the day, there was a time in history when the men were also earning this amount of money, and their game progressed to the point where they can now...
I shudder to imagine what the women must have been earning that time when the men
they were earning.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe just the handshake and well done. But at some point, the women would also earn reasonable amounts of money. When I say reasonable, I mean in comparison to men. Like you said, it is already a reasonable amount of money. But when you look at what the people in your field are also earning, I mean, you tend to get maybe jealous and say, oh, you would like to earn something like that. So it's a matter of time before they earn as much as what the men are earning now. but the men's game is also evolving, and that means that the men will also earn more. So they might not catch up, but they definitely will be able to close the gap.
All right. So what do you think the women themselves can do to facilitate this?
Well, it's not just the players, it's the game as a whole. All the stakeholders in the game, they have to improve their marketing efforts and the way the game is viewed as well. I mean, we just saw a new competition, the Club World Cup, and in just one edition of this renewed format rather, they've made $1 billion in revenue, mainly thanks to marketing that FIFA has done. So bodies like CAF, national teams, they need to do more in terms of marketing these players to the world, because that's the only reason why anyone will want to turn up and watch a game, when they know that, oh, I remember this player, I want to watch this player, I want to watch everybody, I want to watch Oshuala. And from there, the more eyes you get, the more ad revenue you get, and definitely the more revenue you get.
All right. So according to Ayoola, it's all about marketing, marketing, marketing. That's the only way that the women's AFCON can even, close the gap, and if not even on par with the men, at least they can try to be on some certain level. What about you guys? What do you think about this? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. I am Jimmy and this is Money Talks.